Hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, or whatever time zone you may be in right now. Tonight is Newbie Night, my favorite time of the week, because we get to teach you how to be better at World of Tanks. Yeah! I'm Dorjan.
And I'm Highflyer 15.
We're RivetingTV, and tonight we got a treat for you. If you were here last week, we did a competition where if you gave a suggestion to us, we would then see which ones are the best ones, which one we're going to do, and whoever we choose will get a code for a new tank. We've also got a special offer. If this person is on the US server, he can exchange the prize for a month premium instead, because we have someone who's desperate for the tank and would give up a month's premium in exchange for it. But Highflyer, please read out the email of the person that is one that you chose.
Okay. So far, I've only come up with one suggestion that you guys haven't already done. That is how to anticipate what the enemy tanks are going to do, and knowing their strengths and weaknesses, not weak spots. Whether you can come up against a tank unexpectedly, go scouting, go for the arty, or flank a couple of heavies is always nice to know what they're capable of, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and what is the most likely to happen when you make your move. I know it isn't the best or most original idea, but maybe you guys can get some inspiration from it for an upcoming Newbie Night. Whatever you do with it, I hope you appreciate the suggestion.
Highflyer,
Yes?
I just checked our stream, and I think I've been put into letterbox from your end. Do you remember the cropping you did last time? I believe you need to undo that, Jazz.
I've just fixed that this time around, and I have no idea why you're like that, because I just fixed it.
Do you know what? I'm going to half the resolution, so see if it speeds up. There we go. Okay.
Yep, now you're fine again.
Because I'm just checking the bit rate here is terrible. Gonna test.
Gonna test.
Okay. It's a lower bit rate, guys. I'm sorry about that, but it's the best I can do right now. Remember, I am moving to get a better internet, so it will work better soon. I keep promising this, but it is happening. I chose a place. Yes, I chose a place, and it has a 10 meg upload connection. Yeah, 10 meg upload. That means you'll be able to see me in high def 3 times over. Hell
God.
yeah.
Oh God.
So did you say who's the person who won, Highflyer?
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
No, is he in the chat? Let's see. I'm gonna look for him first.
I don't think he's here. I haven't seen him talk.
Nope, he's not. He's not here today.
He's gonna miss his moments of fame.
Oh.
Well, it's User X, or otherwise known as Luke.
Luke L.
Says pronounce it Luke. It's LLUUKKLL. But yes, indeed. Luke sent the suggestion in. It was among 25, 30 suggestions we had. Many were ones we've already done before, which really highlights a problem we must have in not archiving our stuff correctly for you guys, because there's so many things that were suggested that we've just already done many times. And we can obviously cover them again because you guys haven't seen them. But, you know, they are there for you to check out on the Rising Sun YouTube channel, which should be linked below. Things like that will be there, like the side scraping. A lot of people requested that. We did that in depth, really in depth, and even the wiggle. Highflyer, did you get that replay I sent you with the IS-8?
Yes, I did.
Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
It was pretty decent.
Pretty decent?
It was good. And I would have been pissed off in that IS-7 if I was him.
I know. I was like, you sour about that. What happened, for anyone who didn't know, is I was driving in my IS-8, and I derped around most of the game, and then I had to reposition. My son was on my lap, so I wasn't playing particularly well. Anyway, I ended up facing an IS-4 and an IS-7 versus me, and they also had an Object 704 supporting them, and I was in my IS-8 with like 24 hit points. Was it, Highflyer?
Yeah, I think
something like
37
hit points. Yeah. And then I proceed. They actually came at me the exact same time. The IS-7 and the IS-4 came around the corner at the exact same time. I take them both out before getting taken out by the TD. Yeah, my IS-8 took out both the IS-4 and the IS-7, and the IS-7 had 700 hit points. I had to shoot him twice, and I had 37. A ram would have killed me. That was crazy. That was good. The whole rest of the match was horrible. that one 10-second play though was really cool.
Yep, that play was cool. You started out by driving into a
That's
building.
my son. He was playing. My son was playing the game.
Of course, sure.
He was. See the beginning of the thing. He drives into a wall and then just shoots it like 3 times, and he's trying to figure out what the keys are. He's only 3 years old. He was just like, "Daddy, which ways go?" 3.
Daddy,
I was like,
what are you doing?
It was very funny. But anyway, the show for tonight, we are going to be talking mostly. We're going to do 2 different things. One, we'll talk about the individual tanks and how to predict them. We'll then talk about the actual maps or a map and discuss the way you deal with the map situation and reading the team situation. And in part 3, we'll probably have a couple of games and explain what's going on while it's going on to show you. And that was a suggestion you guys gave a lot, saying that, hey, don't talk as much, show more. So we'll try to do that for you today. So where do you want to start, Highflyer, considering you were the one who actually accepted the topic?
Well, we could go through some of the tanks to talk about if you should engage them in just some of their weaknesses and their pros and cons. Just going through a bunch of them, and if you have some other tanks that I don't have, and then you can go through them. So
Sure.
It's not only the tanks that I have. But yeah, I think we should start out with that.
Okay. Let's do some mid-tiers. And mid-tiers, I believe, is what most people have who are watching today. So we'll go for tier 6. Pick a tank in tier 6 first. I believe that would be the best way to go.
Yep. I'm gonna yep. The VK36. Awesome tank, and actually causing trouble for. Your face just went letterbox again. I will.
Just close the chat. Just close the chat.
No.
In Skype, close the chat.
There we go.
There you go.
Now.
Bloody Skype.
Yep. Bloody.
I don't know why it does that. It really is annoying. You open the chat, it goes widescreen. You close the chat, it goes full screen again. What the holy dick?
Yep.
Wide.
Very wide. Well, the VK36 is a very powerful beast. It is the best tier 6 medium tank, in my opinion. I don't know if you have another one that you like, but in overall strength and weaknesses and armor and rate of fire and stuff like that, is one of the if it's in a capable player's hands, it's one of the most dangerous tanks that you can come up against on tier 6.
Yeah, I mean, there's, in my opinion, there's more flexible tanks out of. Oh wait, the VK. Sorry,
Yep.
For whatever reason, I was thinking the the KV1S. Nothing like the VK. Yeah, I would agree. The VK is one of the most deadliest tanks out there for tier 6. It's got huge front armor. It's got amazing mobility. It's not that big, so it's got great. It can use terrain quite well, and it's tough. It's got great penetration, great rate of fire. There's nothing bad about this tank whatsoever. It goes very close to me as the Easy 8, as a contender for the best tank in tier 6 for all-round goodness.
Yeah, and the front soaks or bounces so many shells, it's unbelievable. It has that flat surface, but even with bigger tanks like tier 8 tanks and tier 9 tanks can bounce on the front. It's so insane. It's if I see a VK36 and a Tiger 2 or something smaller, I will not shoot for that VK36 because I'm so used to bouncing on it with my bigger tanks, and I really have to be close to fire precisely and not at this horrible thing at the front, because that's the part that bounces.
Yeah, I totally agree. The VK, if you meet the VK 3601 and you're not entirely sure how to face it, like you're not confident, I would avoid it. If you can shoot it in the side, go ahead and engage it. But other than that, try and avoid it. If you're not sure what you're doing, don't just take a blind shot at this front. You'll more likely bounce off or not go through. So okay, I have to say this. Can someone stop talking as me, please? Whoever it is who's logged in as my account, can you please stop it? That's not funny. Anyway, yeah, the VK is such a powerful tank from the front. You don't want to engage it from the front, even if you know what you're doing. But if you don't, and you're a VK and you see it, just don't engage it. Go around the side of it or wait for your teammates to turn up. I would hugely advise you to avoid it unless you know what you're doing. It's such a powerful tank, especially from the front.
Yep. What the hell?
So cool.
Yep, I'm trying to sign in. Nope, won't let me. That's weird. I obviously changed my password on Twitch. Oh, nope.
No.
I am. Okay, I am.
Twitch is confusing us and throwing us off our stride. Damn you, technical difficulties. Damn you. Anyway, yeah, so the VK is one of the contenders. For me, the Easy 8 holds high regard because it's just fast, tough, maneuverable, very much like the VK. But I would give it a little bit more edge because I think it has a better turret traverse, as in depreciation. It can aim lower and higher than the VK. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I believe it can go to the top of hills and look down. So it is much better.
Okay. Well, that's an opinion. Okay, it does have that, but in
the hand of a good player, it's the same sort of thing. I enjoy the Easy 8. I think it's a very powerful tank. In the hands of a good player, it's not as scary in the sense of if you see it, you can hurt it, basically. So it's not as scary as the VK, because if you see the front of the VK, you're not necessarily going to hurt it. So the Easy 8 is one of the ones you've got to be wary of. It's more so than the VK, in my opinion. So if you see an Easy 8, make sure you don't let it flank you. It's very maneuverable, and it's got a great gun, high rate of fire, decent penetration. It can do so much damage you don't expect it. So the Easy 8 is one of them tanks I think you need to pay attention to. If it's on the enemy team listings, you should try and pay attention to where that Easy 8 is if you're in tier 6, because it's such a good damage potential on that thing.
Yep.
Yes, always flank the VK.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, right next to it, the tank that I've kept out of the two Tigers is the Tiger P, which most people have a little bit of trouble with, mostly because of the Ferdinand armor it has in the front. But if you're not afraid of the Tiger, then you shouldn't be afraid of the Tiger P, because it has the same gun, the same. I think it's a little bit faster, but other than that, there's nothing different about it apart from the structure of it, and the turret is a little bit more in the front. But if you meet it, don't fire at of course not the hull, because it's 200 millimeters, but
yeah, do not fire through the hull.
Shoot at the turret, because this cupola is so huge. It's so big, and also the right side of the turret, or the left side if you take it from the Tiger's view, is also a big plate where you can just shoot through. So
yeah. Tiger P to me is scary, but not so scary. It's a case of if you don't know what you're doing, you panic and shoot against the hull, you're screwed. And if you're shooting at a distance, aim high, because if you miss, that's fine. If you hit the turret, even better. But if you aim mid and you keep hitting low, you're never going to get through. So I try and always drop my shells onto the top of it as best I can, because you're not going to go through that 200mm armor. You're just not.
No. Nope. Yeah, that's actually all there is to the Tiger P, because you aren't really scared of the Tiger, because you can just shoot it in the front, and most likely it gets set on fire, and then you don't really have to worry about that one for much longer. But I've kept the Tiger P just because most people don't know about the thingy turret, so kept that one for fun. Let's move on to, well, let's just pop on to the new one. Let's just take the new one, the Cromwell, and it has the characteristics that you liked on the on the Easy 8 more than the VK36, because this one is fast as hell. It has insane acceleration and 64 speed limit, and an amazingly fast firing gun. And yep, it hurts too. And yep, you can easily flank so many of your big opponents and just deal massive amounts of damage. And
the trouble with it is that it's very much paper armor, way more so than the Easy 8, isn't it?
Yep. I think it's actually about the same, apart from the sides are a little bit thinner.
But the sloped on the Easy 8 is better than the flat armor of the British tanks, isn't it?
The Easy 8 is sloped?
Slightly.
Okay.
Isn't it a molded front, which is like
maybe,
that?
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, which gives it extra thickness. Where instead of the flat front British, that's British, that's the American.
Yeah. But yeah.
I like the Easy 8, alright? Leave me alone. Then you go, I guess, to the T-34-85, where that tank is. I actually had a great game in it the other day. It's got a. Again, it's another one of these really good all-round tanks. I think that Tier 6 is one of the best for the medium tanks, really being jack of all trades. It has a little bit better armor protection than the Cromwell and the Easy 8, in the sense of it has the OP bloody Russian sloped armor, where you can bounce really massive shells if you twist yourself at the right time. It's hard to use it, and you can't rely on the bounces as much, really, because by fluke they can go through, and it seems random that they seem to bounce off sometimes, especially with all the different directions. But the gun is decent. It's an 80. What is the mil gun? It's 85.
85. Yep.
Yeah, it is 85 mil gun. So the 85 mil gun has got 144 penetration, or 200 if you're using the gold shot, and 180 damage. The rate of fire is 10. So it's a solid gun. I feel that I can perform a lot in a tier 9-8 battle. I'm still feeling that I'm useful, not from the front, but if I get around the sides, and it's not too hard to get around the sides in the T-34-85. So
no, it's a pretty good tank, but it's just when it gets to the T-33, then it has the exact same gun and just fires 1.1 shells more, and that's not good. But it bounces more, so that equals that equation out a little bit, I think. Let's see, any other tank? Well,
someone's requesting we talk about the comparison between the Easy 8 and the Jumbo. Do you have any experience in the Jumbo? Because I just don't see them.
Apart from the much more armored front.
Yeah. And slow.
No, I don't really have any. I haven't played the Jumbo. I've just unlocked it to nearly unlock all.
I never see it, and is the armor good enough to really make that much of a difference? Because it's really slow, from what I remember.
Yeah, well, it is sloped as you. Oh, well,
no, not sloped, slow.
Yeah. But the thing that it's much slower than the Easy 8. It's 13 kilometers per hour slower, and the traverse speed is less, and the turret speed is less. So well,
the armor's only 100. I mean, that's still decent, but it's not like, oh my god, you got to run away. But it's the same sort of thing as the VK, I suppose. It's surprisingly tough, and if you're not aware of it, you should avoid it, I guess. Jumbo's interesting beast. It's very slow. It's more like a heavy tank, really. It's got more characteristics of a heavy tank than it does of a medium, really. So I would say if you meet a Jumbo, the idea would be to just outmaneuver it, get around its sides, charge it. Really, it's very slow, so you can get around the sides of it, get around the back of it, and just pound away at it. You'll probably win the DPS war with it if you, because it's quite high as well. The American tanks are quite high, so if you've got a low tank, you could probably get quite a lot of bounces at point blank range against it if you're constantly moving and rotating your turret in the usual way, where you're right in their face, you're moving, you're twisting the turret every time you're needing to reload. Doing that maneuver, they'll find it really hard to penetrate you, and they'll be constantly bouncing. So that's probably the best way to engage the Jumbo.
Yep. Any other tough tanks? Just looking through my garage to see if, well, apart from the super Pershing, which we have covered, would be top thing.
Is there any tanks you, the audience, I mean, this is Newbie Night, so we're interacting with you guys. Is there any tanks you want to know about that you're like, oh, I don't ever know what to do when I come across that tank? It's right there in my face. I can't do anything about it. And I just die. Is there any tanks out there that you guys want to know about? And we'll go through what we know about them. So, the T50, come on, really? Really? Yeah. KV-13, that's just a brick. That you can't have problems with that, surely. Just shoot it.
Yeah, well, I have trouble with the actually with the French, the Tier 9 Foch, because
God, yes.
It's so sloped at the front, and when I try to hit the top parts, I just miss and bounce as well. So I actually just stay away from it, and when I can, I flank it. So that's the only advice I have for that one, because I've been having trouble with it myself.
Yeah, the first time I met, from the chat as well, the ARL. The first time I met an ARL was in my IS tank, which is tier 7, right? So I went up to it, cocky as hell, thinking I'll just blow it up. 3 shots into its front plate, and I still hadn't learned the lesson of it's not going through. The ARL was fully upgraded and took me apart, and I felt so mad. I was like, why is this OP mother in shit? And then I checked it out and realized that if you just shoot it once in the turret, it blows up. The ARL seems to have a really big issue with its turret. Aim there every time, no matter what. Just aim at the turret of the ARL and it will blow up. Whether it's the old turret, the big shed, or the smaller upgraded turret, you just take that out and the tank falls really easily, or the side and rear, obviously. But yeah, again, with most of these heavily armored tier 6 tanks, aim for the turret. Is there one that's an exception? I don't think so.
No, not really. No, they're just, some of them are just more bouncy than others, but it's still the same old story. Someone wrote the Ferdinand Poltum. Again, at that tier, you should have a big enough gun to be able to penetrate the 200 millimeters. So aim for this part on the Ferdinand, the flat surface, right underneath the gun, actually. But if you have a stronger gun on your tank, then you can easily penetrate the sides next to the gun. It's actually pretty, not very well armored. It was well armored when when none of the good guns, no, not the good guns, but just when the matchmaker wasn't working well and the Ferdinand could be the top gun and tier 4 could be the bottom, then you would fear the Ferdinand. But right now, you just have to aim for the flat surfaces, and the arrow will show you where it's flat, because the bottom part is the strongest part of the tank, and it's really easy to penetrate the vertical plate right there, or horizontal, no, vertical. Yep.
Right. The last question we'll go through before we switch over to the next episode, where we'll talk about the maps, or maybe even go into game and play a couple of games and explain it on the fly, would be the best noob tank. It's a really good question for Newbie Night. For a good tank, a good all-round tank to go for as your first time playing, what do you think is the easiest route to go through, Highflyer, for the most obvious, like, okay, this will give them the nicest entry into World of Tanks if they never played before, like the easiest sort of tank to learn? Maybe not the best overall tank if you're good at the game, but definitely the easiest to play. What would you recommend?
That's a very good question, because they all have, yes, we talked about strength and weaknesses, because if you go down the American line and go to the M3 Lee, when it first came out, people really hated it. They really hated it because it wasn't a tank as they had expected. It was a tank destroyer, because it has no turret, and they got frustrated with that. But it's actually a really good tank if you.
I think they upgraded it now. The matchmaking's been fixed. It's much easier to go through the M3 Lee now. People just got a bad memory of it, but it's actually a really cool tank to play.
Yeah, and if you can go through you can go through. It's not, if you don't like the T1 and then having to play the M6 right after, then you can easily go to the M4 and then to the Jumbo and then down to the M6, so you don't have to play the same tank twice, which is the T1 and the M6. Apart from, I think, a little bit speed limit, It's a little bit slower actually, them 6. So, but it has a little bit more armor. That's about it.
Yeah, the
Period.
thing, the thing I would actually advise if you wanted to go down what I would say a very noob-friendly route would be the Russian heavy route, which would be starting at the MS1, the T26, the T46, the T28, the KV1, and then you can pick from 3 different tanks as your next route. Now, that route to me is just so solid. There's no tank there that's totally bad. They're all quite good. The T28 is a big barge, and you will quickly learn to avoid enemy fire rather than try and tank it because it has no armor and is massive. But each one of them is reasonably easy to play and has a good gun. So I'd recommend going down the Russian heavies if you're brand new to the game and you're looking, what should I do just to get a feel for the game? It's pretty easy going, I would say.
Yeah, it is. But again, it's really tough to predict what people will like, because I sent people down that route and they were really annoyed by the slow aiming time, and then I sent them down the German route, and then they were like, I don't really like this low alpha damage. Well, then go back to the Russian. But then I get just decide.
You gotta have both. You can't have both.
You can't have both. Nope.
Yeah, so it depends really. If you like fast firing guns, go down the American heavy route. If you like slow firing guns, go down the Russian heavies. They're probably the 2 easiest to get the hang of the game with. If you like faster tanks, you don't mind having no armor and you want to avoid shots, go down one of the medium routes, really any of them, and you'll have fun there. I would avoid the French. The French are probably one of the hardest tank sets to play at all tier groups. Don't avoid them until you're a bit more experienced in the game. Cool. If you like being fast moving and annoying, then the French is for you, but I would recommend being maybe the British first. Maybe the British? Yeah, probably the British first. It'll give you a bit of an easier time, but I don't know. Right. Right, what should we do in part 2? We shall talk about maps while we play?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. So we'll be back in a minute, guys, and we'll be going through some games and explaining how to be more aware of your surroundings and what's going on. If you get ready to give us some suggestions, what you want to see, what tanks and tier groups you want to see. We're going to start with tier 6 because I believe that's where most people get stuck or really start struggling with the game. So cool, see you in a minute.
See ya.